Hi, my name is Cassidy Bolt, and I am a volunteer attorney with SDV-LP. Today, I'm going to be walking you through how to execute service of a temporary restraining order. First and foremost, what exactly is proof of service? So proof of service is the document that you're going to file with the court after you've served the party that you're seeking the restraining order against. Essentially, it just provides the judge with proof that the other party received a copy of the restraining order. Note that service has to be in person at least 5 days before the restraining order hearing. Also note that you yourself cannot serve the opposing party. You'll have to have a third party do it, which we'll talk about later throughout this presentation. So the purpose behind proof of service is so that the other party is informed of what they can and cannot do based on the restraining order. It allows the other party to know what you're alleging against them. And it also makes the order enforceable so that law enforcement can act if the other person violates it. Similarly, it provides notice of the court date so that the opposing party can show up to the hearing, and at that hearing, that's where the judge can turn the temporary restraining order into a permanent one. Now, there are two types of service. The first type is sheriff service. With sheriff service, the offices are located at various courthouses. And you'll have to fill out two forms, which I'll walk you through later. The sheriff will only execute service if the address is provided to them, and it must be accurate. They usually will try 3 times. Also, the sheriff will have their own proof of service form that they're going to file with the court. And note that this form of service comes at no cost to you. The other form of service is third-party service. Anyone over the age of 18 that's not a part of the order is able to execute third-party service. So essentially, anyone who is not you or the person that you're seeking to enforce the restraining order against. You also could use a process server, but you'll have to pay for this. For third-party service, you'll have to fill out the DB200 form, which later on in this presentation, I'm going to walk you through along with the sheriff's service forms.
Now we're going to provide you a real-time example of how service is executed. Note that you do not have to verbally say, "You've been served." Also note that if the person backs away or does not let you hand them the papers directly, you can place them at their feet, and that would constitute sufficient service.
So, how you will fill out the form is that there's going to be certain sections you fill out, and then there's going to be other sections that the person who served process will fill out. There also will be different sections where the court clerk will typically fill out, and I'm going to pull up the forms now so that I can show you each of the various sections and show you how to execute them. If you decide to proceed with sheriff service, this is the first form that you're going to be familiar with. So essentially, you're going to start by filling out the defendant's information. That will be the person being served. Make sure to be specific about their accurate legal name and their accurate address. As mentioned before, the sheriff usually will give you 3 attempts, but you need to make sure that address is accurate. Note the other information that you'll have to include in these various boxes. Similarly, you'll have to answer these questions, and here you'll have to fill out the information regarding you, the person requesting service. The instructions can only be signed by you or your attorney, so make sure that you provide your signature and date. In these sections, the sheriff will fill out the rest. Likewise, with this page, the sheriff will fill it out. This is another form that you'll have to fill out if you choose to proceed with sheriff service. Essentially, you'll have to indicate the case name, your name, and the name of the person who you're seeking to enforce the restraining order against. Here you'll fill out your name, your address, your attorney if you have one, and then you will fill out the following fields based on your situation. This section, again, will be for law enforcement to complete. Now, this is the main form you'll be filling out, the DV-200, which is the proof of personal service document. In section 1, you'll be putting your legal name, and in section 2, you'll be putting the legal name of the party that you're going to be serving. Section 4, you'll also fill out, and note that check box C if you're going to be, if you have kids together and you're going to be requesting child custody. To the right, the information regarding the court and case number will be filled out by the court clerk. And then finally, parts 5, 6, and 7 will be filled out by the server. So that'll be completed by the person who is physically handing the copies over to the party that you're seeking the restraining order against. Make sure that in 5, 6, and 7, the server provides accurate information and then finally provides their signature. Remember that once you fill out the proof of service, this has to be filed with the court. So now that we've gone through how to fill out the forms, I'm going to explain how to file them. So if the sheriff is the one who completes service, you don't have to file anything with the court. Just keep the documentation that they sent stating that they served the other party. However, if a third party completed service, you'll have to bring the DV-200 form to the courthouse and file it at the business office before your court date. Now some tips on executing service. 1, the other party does not need to sign anything. You can simply drop the documents at their feet. You don't have to actually deliver it into their hands or say you've been served or anything like that. Second, if the other party leaves without actually being served, then law enforcement can't execute the service. So with that in mind, we encourage you to be wary about calling law enforcement prior to service actually being executed. Also, if you serve through the San Diego PD, provide them a copy of the TRO to hand to the other party, and then ask their officer to fill out the DV-200 form if they're willing. You will then be the person to file the order at the courthouse. And we note this distinction because unlike the sheriff, the SDPD will not fill out and file their own proof of service. It's on you to file if you go through the SDPD instead of the sheriff. So finally, what if you are unable to serve the opposing party? First, make sure that you still attend the hearing if you want the restraining order enforced. Second, you can request a continuance. The temporary restraining order will essentially be extended if you do so, and you'll be given another court date. A judge will normally extend it about 3 times, but anything after that, you should take note that it might not be extended. And finally, you could also request alternative service. If you can show that the other party is trying to evade the service and that you've tried to serve them already, you can request that the judge allow you to serve the person a different way. For instance, rather than serving them personally, you could request to post service at the courthouse or some other alternative option that will be discussed with the judge. This completes our video on how to execute service. If you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to the attorneys at SDVLP, and they will be happy to guide you with executing service of your temporary restraining order. Thank you.